this video, we're going to learn how to extend this area of the fur off to the screen. So how are we going to approach this? Well, let's zoom in here a little bit first of all. And rather than just take the clone stamp tool and try to bring this out, we're going to try to do this as quickly as possible. So because we have, the fur is autofocus back here and in focus up here, we pretty much want to take this and try to extend it, duplicate it. We can't really extend it because it'll stretch all this fur and it'll look kind of silly. So let's start off first by creating a new layer, a merged layer on its own layer, which if you remember is Command-Alt-Shift-E on the Mac and Control-Alt-Shift-E on the PC. So that gives us a new layer to work on, and we don't have to worry about destroying anything that we've done down here. I'm going to start off with making a selection with my lasso tool down here. Now I don't really want any of her dress, so I'm going to come in close to her dress down here, and we'll get all of this. And I'm going to come across, you can kind of see the shadow on the end, but I have a feeling that because this fur rolls off, we're going to get some doubling effect or some duplicate effect. But anyways, let's just take this and let's jump it to a new layer. And remember what that command is. It's Command J on the Mac, Control J on the PC. And that takes that layer and that takes that selection and puts it on its own layer right here. And if you see, if I go to my move tool, you can just see where I can move that around. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it down here somewhere, and I'm obviously going to try to keep in line with these stripes. I know it looks really bad right now, but you have to realize the perspective is changing as this fur is coming off. It's really kind of coming off towards us and off to the left, so it's really kind of getting closer and it's skewed. So what can we do with that? We can use the free transform tool and kind of adjust this. I'm holding down the command key. That's what changes that arrow to a single selection. So I can just select this one mark and kind of skew it back and forth. Plus I could take this and actually skew the fur. I can probably get away with a little bit, but I don't want to do too much. And let's mess with this down here a little bit. Now, what we're seeing here is a lot of mismatch, and it's just really kind of not working right. So we're really going to have to just kind of keep going back, taking pieces, coming back, taking pieces. But at this point, the free transform tool just kind of fails us here because it's the way it's bending this, and we got this arch, etc. So what I like to do in here is go to our warp tool. So if I hold down the control key and click here, or right click, and select warp, now I can just click in any area of this and just kind of manipulate it, stretch it, drag it, pull it, whatever I want, to where it kind of matches this up a little bit better. And you have to kind of keep playing with it here because you pull on one side, it affects the other, etc., etc. So I think we can kind of get away with a little bit here. We're going to have to do a little blending along this line, which is okay. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of moving this around to help blend it. We're obviously going to have to do this a couple of times to get this to look right. Now since this edge right here, I'm going to hide this grid real quick. You can see this edge because of the way my selection was, just kind of made this a hard edge. So we're going to duplicate this up here in a minute and add that on top of this. We're going to have to take several samples of this and just kind of keep adding it and just blend it the best we can. So let me unhide that. I'm hitting Command H or Control H on the PC to hide and unhide this. So we can bring this down because we're going to replace this edge up here. So I'm guessing, and I'm just really kind of guessing right here. So I'm entering, hit enter. And so now we have that. So I'm going to take this. Remember, we don't need this right here. We just duplicate it so we could mess with it. We don't have to worry about doing any destruction here to the rest of our work down here. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to merge it down by hitting Command E. We could leave it there, but I'm just, for simplicity, going to merge it down. So now it's actually part of this image. So now I can't move that around freely. I'm moving the whole entire image, right? So now I want to do a little blending here, because now when we come in here and take a sample or another selection, we don't want this hard edge in here. So I'm going to come over here to my healing brush and go back over here, shrink the brush down. I'll always use that soft edge, not this hard edge, but a soft edge. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to try to keep with these lines. So I'm making a selection here, or not a selection, but I'm targeting right here. And then I'm moving this over here. You can see where you get that kind of preview of what it's going to look like when you click here, which is great because now I can see exactly what it's going to do. So this is what I want. So I'm going to paint in here, come across, get rid of that, zoom in here. Now we could probably get away with quite a bit here because of this fur, but just for the sake of this video, let's try to make it look as good as we can. And I'm just going along this line, trying to help it blend in to the fur behind it. And you remember before, when earlier in the video where I was showing you that it's a good idea that when you're selecting your source over here to kind of go with the grain of everything, and everything seems to be running in this direction with this fur. So I'm kind of keeping with that. I'm not like selecting up here and then trying to copy it down here. For one thing, this is more out of focus than this. So I'm trying to stay in this linear line to keep everything on par. So I'm going to go over here and try to blend this a little bit. I want to keep this kind of rusted stripe, or this dark brown stripe in here the best I can. May not be doing the best job, but I think we're kind of getting that in there, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. Are you okay with it? So we're going to probably make this look pretty good by the time we're done here. Okay, so I like that blend. I'm not too worried about that up there because we're going to copy this and go over it anyway. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and let's take this edge up here. Again, I'm using the lasso tool. And we're actually going to go into the background. We want some of the background. And I'm just going to, again, hit Command J, Control J on the PC to jump that to a new layer. And I'm going to just move this over here and kind of do the same thing to this. Rotate it. Get it to work in here the best I can. Again, I think we can kind of stretch this and get away with it. No one will know. I'm going to use the eraser tool actually and get rid of this. We don't really care about this edge because we're getting ready to go over it again. Again, we have to do a little blending right here. Again, I'm going to merge this layer down. That's Command E on the Mac, Control E on the PC. Go back to my healing brush. Just use a little bit smaller brush. Do a select out here and just get rid of this line, that hard edge that we're seeing. Let's see, I'm going to sample right up here and just, I think all this is good right here. This is okay. See a little bit of repetitive pattern there, so I'll grab something from somewhere else just so we don't see it. Okay, so we've come out a little bit. Let's see our before and after. That's before, that's after. Now we don't really care about this edge because we're not going to see it, right? It's going to go off the screen. So let's go back to this. I'm going to take another selection, kind of like what I did previously. This time I'm going to come into the background. I'm going to start out here, come along here. Let's go like this up to the background, select that. Again, Command J, Control J on the PC to take that selection and put it on its own layer. We're going to hit Command T to free transform this layer. Move it over. And let's go up to about there. I'm going to go straight to hit right click and hit warp. If you're on a Wacom tablet, you're going to have to hit Control, click, and then warp. And then I'm just going to tweak this a little bit. And let's see if we can line these stripes up a little bit better. Maybe I don't want to distort this too much because then it starts not looking so good. So we'll do that. Hit Enter. Going to merge down. Command E to merge that down. That's Control E on the PC. And back to the healing brush. And again, I'm going to go in line with this stripe that we see here already. So I'm going to sample from back here, bring that stripe in just like this. And now it's just going to kind of match up. And you know, it's looking good enough to where I almost lost that edge. I don't even know where it is. Do you guys see it? I don't see it. See if we can make this a little bit better. So anyways, I think mission accomplished. I think that looks pretty good. Now, I'm seeing a little bit of repetitive pattern right here. Do you see that? And that's a dead giveaway. We can fix that fairly easily. And we just kind of randomly, like I'm just going to grab a piece from here and get rid of that. Grab over here, just get rid of that black stripe. I'm just randomly breaking up this pattern. I'd want to stay in here. See this? One. You almost see 1, 2, 3. Do you see them? 1, 2, 3. They look the same. So I'm going to click right here and bring this on across. Now those patterns are repeating. I see this black down here repeating a little bit. Don't want that. So see how I'm breaking it up? Doesn't look quite as repetitive. Let's back out a little bit. So see, now that doesn't look nearly, if at all, repetitive. I'm seeing a little bit up in here. And all the stuff I'm doing, I'm just showing you how you could get, if you see it, and this, when you're cloning, you're going to run into a situation where things start repeating and it looks, it's like, okay, I know what they're doing there. He's cloning and that looks ridiculous because I see a pattern. You don't want a pattern, ever want a pattern. Unless, of course, there's a pattern in what you're copying. Then you do want a pattern. So since that's not a major part of the picture, I think if we sit here and looked at the whole thing, let me get a 1-to-1 ratio here. Fit into, I think that looks pretty good. So let's look at our before and after. There's before, and there's after. You could go in here and tweak a little bit more, and if you want to make this look a little better and continue this, I've just kind of shown you how to do that, so you could do that pretty easily. So we have just successfully extended this fur off the page. Now let's see what other edits we're up to. We still want to give the hair a little contrast and take the hair off her forehead right here. And that's what we'll do in the next video.